So, we are in the first phase, first term of lecture or course. We try to define the basic concept, the basic terms. This was the last slide last week about the basic concept of world economic system. The first concept, which introduced by Fernand Braudel, a French scholar of 20th century, Economie mondiale. It's mean the frame, whole of economic unit of the world. The second one, Economie monde, it integrated unit of some part of the surface of Earth, world-economy. For example, in the 12th century, you remember this was the last slide, I spoke about this structure more detailed form, only I tried recently to sign the crucial information. In the middle of the 12th century, we can make the list, the ranking list of 6 civilizations. The first one, and the most developed civilization, not only intellectual, not only cultural, but even economic sense, China. The second one, India. The third, Islamic world, more developed on this period compared with the European civilization, Western and Central Europe. Later, I will return meaning of Europe, basically different, the recent geographical meaning. Amerindian culture, because Amerindian culture, it's mean Inca, Aztec, Mochica, and other Central and Southern European, Southern American culture lived in Copper Age. If you watch the Apocalypto movie of Mel Gibson, you can realize and memorize the civilization and economic level, material civilization level of Amerindian culture. And the last one, Russia. It's very interesting. Basically, it's a consequence that this rank list made by a French scholar. And there is a very special connection, between Russia and France and the French culture. Not by chance, during the 19th century, in the global rank list, the second French-speaker country was Russia. On the time, on the high Middle Ages, Russia located, it's a principality of Kiev, much more, a little bit different from Moscow. It's happened a little bit later. Russia located among 3 great civilizations. A Christian civilization, a Western Christian civilization, Islamic world, and China. And a long time, it was a little bit changed the direction of orientation. And recently, we are living time when Russia tried to change the orientation toward China. And former time toward after the Peter the Great turned for 2 century long period to Europe. Okay, look at the crucial concept of us, economy world. Economy monde. It's an integrated economic unit. How we can define an integrated economic unit in the historical past? I taught a former time one or two lecture before that which is the meaning of history. History, this is a memory of community. A community may be a village, maybe a city, or maybe whole of the humankind. Okay, turn back. Economy monde, integrated economic world, integrated unit. The first criteria, of economic world, one area which can be demarcated well. We are able to define the boundaries very clearly. Look at some example. For example, between Russia and China. If possible, you remember your physical geographical studies. Obviously, between China and historical China and Russia, the boundary, a Gobi Desert. One of the driest deserts whole of the world. Only one caravan able to cross through the desert 1 year. Or a little bit same situation in the case of African history, Sahara Desert, the largest desert of the world, between the white and the black Africa. It's not racial, it's an obvious geographical term. Or we can use not only geographical boundaries, which demarcated well two units, but for example, Immanuel Wallerstein, who created the first version of World Economic System, defined the boundary between integrated economic unit. There is a boundary where the expenses of the trade, its overflow, the benefit of the trade. No reason making a trade, because much higher the expense of the trade. Okay, this is the first criteria. We are able to define the unit as China, India, Islamic world, or even old-style Greek Europe. The second one, directed by one central city. No more, only one leading city. One leading city. Normal situation, each integrated unit under direction, one leading city. If we are looking at European economic world, the first leading city was Venice, the second Antwerp, Genoa, Amsterdam, London. London was the last one. After the First World War, moving the leading position, a core area to eastern coast of United States. And the new leading city left Europe and moved to New York. And this was the greatest recovery whole of the economic history. Okay, but we will close our survey with the age of London until the middle of 19th century. Why interesting for us? From the recent point of view, the one leading city problem. Because our situation, history, this is the collective memory, recent situation, there are three poles of world economy. One, eastern coast of United States, around New York and this agglomeration. Other one, southeastern Asia, former time Japan, recently South China, and European Union. What mean for us? In unstable situation, because in a steady situation, only one core area might be, no more. Therefore, one of the problems which appear in the global world, the consequence of transformation. We are an area of transformation of world economy. And the last criterion, economically hierarchical area. There are core area, semi-peripheral area, and the peripheral area. Very easy to define the core area, as I mentioned before, and the peripheral area. The peripheral area, the underdeveloped area, some area don't use, for example, I will load up our slides to the code space. Anyway, a peripheral area, some area not in use the currency, any form of the currency, only barter trade, change one product to other. Very easy, the peripheral and the core area. But the critical problem, how we can define the semi-peripheral area. Look at one historical example. It's very useful to learning historical books because we can understand a lot of problem if increase the depth of the knowledge. History able to increase the depth of knowledge. Look at, for the French students are here. Okay. For example, story of Louis XIV. Louis XIV is one of the greatest king of French history. Introduced the absolute state. His chancellor was introduced the mercantilism. Colbert, sorry, but I'm a little bit late and the information slowed down a little bit on my brain. As I mentioned before, that the brain using 26% of energy of the body, therefore it's very expensive. Okay, on the time, other name of Louis XIV, Sun King, because the sun never down in the empire, because Louisiana on the time it was a part of French Empire. Later became the part of English-American colonies. Okay, it was the greatest empire of Europe. For a long time, France was Russia of Europe. Why? Because population of France unimaginable. For example, on the time of Louis XIV, the population of France was 17 million. 17 million. On the time, Hungary, 4 million. 4 million. England, 6 million. For example, Spain, 8 or 9 million. Other dimension. Army of Louis XIV, 500,000. The largest one, whole of Europe. And our question, on the time of Louis XIV, France, the French kingdom, was or not a core area? And the answer, very simple. Look at the trade. Who organized the trade? Who made the decision of international and the foreign trade, about the foreign trade? And probably you know, 90% of international trade based to marital trade, based on ocean and the sea, the seaborne trade. Even now, and it was the same situation in 17th century. Therefore, the area or country organized the international trade who owned the majority of great trading ships, trading vessels. On the time, whole of Europe, there were 12,000 great vessels. 12,000 great vessels. And half of that, 6,000 sailed under the flag of Dutch Republic. Therefore, the export of French kingdom and the structure of export of French kingdom about this problem decided in Amsterdam, out of the country. Therefore, Ferdinand Brodel introduced as a even no usable criterion of self-periphery, the crucial decision taken abroad. Look at Hungary. Of course, we are a semi-peripheral area. Which country and which cities making the crucial decision about the Hungarian economy? Berlin, Peking, London, Moscow, or New York. No Budapest. Never. Okay, it's very interesting because these criteria, which tested by Ferdinand Brodel to the 17th century, usable even now. This is the meaning of history. Increase the depth of knowledge and the verification. Good. Look at the Europe. World economic system was born in Europe. Therefore, very important to understand what mean Europe, what mean to be European. Because there is a peculiarity to be European. Okay, the first question, the birth of European as a civilization unit. If we are looking sorry, I missed something. It's not good. Okay. Unfortunately, I cancelled some crucial slides, but I speak. Okay.
Adoption of Europe by Suez?
Yeah.
Well, it's in the cost base.
Sorry, it's possible I missed something because I made new copies and I missed something. Sorry for that. Okay, so it's my fault. Sorry for inconvenience. Okay, Euro. Look at the Euro. The first concept of Euro appeared in a myth, a great myth This is the abduction of Europe by Zeus. Europe was a princess, a Phoenician princess. You know, some folk lived in Near East, founded very famous ports on the Mediterranean Sea. And this is the story. Europe walked on the sea coast, and up here Zeus, the main god of great Greek mythology, on the face of white bull. Somebody met personally with bulls? Okay, it's very dangerous animal.
Yeah.
It's different, because I worked together, because I socialized a small village. We had each animal except elephant, any other. I worked together with horses, worked together with cattle and the cows, and only one animal I am afraid. It was a bull, because increased the body, increased very powerful, and intellectual capacity it's very low anyway. It's you know, this character, it's very hard, very strong, and no intellectual capacity. It's one of the dangerous versions. You work together with bulls, or only look behind the fence?
No, in Texas we have some horses and cows and
Yeah.
a bull. That's the one that inseminates.
Yeah. You are the bravest man in the this lecture.
No.
Other candidate for bull psychology? No. Okay, it's a dangerous animal. One peculiarity of the white bull was that able to speak. It's very rare in the case of bulls. Okay, basically this is a story of the birth of new, very ambitious folks. Each newcomers, there is a great ambition, each woman ours. And this is appeared in this way on the Greek mythology, but in the Hungarian mythology there is, for example, the same story of abduction of the women. In the Roman mythology, similarly. Therefore, the first sign, appearance of concept of Europe, appeared in the mythology. The second one, Greek civilization based on huge philosophical and scientific background. And in the Greek physical geography appeared three continents. The first one, Europe, and the western boundary of Europe, according to Greek geography, pillars of Hercule. It's not God, only half God, I remember, semi-God. Pillar of Gibraltar, Strait of Gibraltar. And the eastern boundary, Don River. It's possible, I mentioned before, that recently the war between Ukraine and Russia organized the old European eastern boundary. And Don River and Asia, of course, this was the most dangerous from the Persian Empire, and Libya. Named Libya because not only the northern part of Africa, but three continents realized in the geographical point of view. But it's very interesting, it's a Don River. You know, the trajectory of Don River flowing into the Black Sea, and recently this is the area of war between Russia and Ukraine. It's very interesting. Why? I am not quite talented understanding the meaning, but the event I am realized. All the boundary reactivated. Okay, but a modern geographical conception appeared after the mapping whole of the eastern part of Europe and the western part of Russian Empire, made by Philip Johann Stahlenberg, Swedish officer and geographer, and proposed a new boundary between Asia and Europe, because a river, it's very unreliable. It's changing the direction and the bed and everything, and proposed by Stahlenberg much better the Ural Mountain. And from the end of 18th century, everybody divide Europe and Asia via Ural Mountain. Okay, here. And great distance between the Don River and Ural Mountain. No over, but everybody who would like to leave the lecture room, but continue other one. And I missed the copy, unfortunately. I missed the copy from one to other. So, the next question, and turn back to the rational trajectory of survey, which is the birthday of Europe. Because recent frame of Europe basically different from the Greek approach, Greek point of view. The first birthday, potential birthday of Europe, when the Hans, this is a folk, crossed through the Volga River. A Chinese student here, Chinese, okay. It's my spelling not correct, but to my last memory, in the Chinese history, a Hans named Xiongnu. No information about. Okay, we will return to this problem in the next lecture. So, anyway, Xiongnu came from Great Wall of China. It's quite a rational decision, because if we can imagine Eurasia, it's ideal for civilization development. Why? Compare, for example, with Americas. Why ideal? If we are looking at Eurasia, unfortunately no table, but you can imagine. You can imagine. This is Europe, Eurasia. China, Europe. Imagine, everybody realize, good. And we imagine, for example, the vegetation, northern part of tundra, it's a called steppe area. The next one, pine forest area. Next one, from Europe to Asia, to China. The next one, frondiferous forest area, oak and any other. Other kind of the frondiferous forest. Steppe corridor between Europe and China. And the two great sea, Caspian and the Black Sea, and the Great Desert area. It's parallel vegetation zones. Therefore, very easy passing innovation. Go and back. Because the nomadic people, this is a special form of animal husbandry, it's moving very fastly. Generally from east to west. Why? Because if we, for example, riding, there is a riding experience? Me too. Because we're together. It's possible, I mentioned in the introductory chapter, I came before the area of television, not internet. Before the electrical service, and before and before the using a great engine. I were together with animals. And my mother, it was very nervous because I spoke with the animals 1 or 2 hours. Okay, but I'm over. Recently, I spoke about it, not? Okay. I ask you be silent about this information. So, if we are looking at the Great Corridor, a steppe corridor, a normal moving direction westward, not for. It's for example, recent motivation of the migration. It's basically different. Why? Because nomadic nomadic folks moved westward for 3 reasons. The first reason, the great cyclone came from Atlantic Ocean. Therefore, the precipitation westward much higher. If we are moving eastward, decrease the precipitation. Generally, the precipitation not so much. Even the western part of steppe area, 40 millimeters. 40. Why critical? Because 40 millimeter precipitation enough only one growing of grass. Once, no more. Once. If happens something drought, it's over. Because the nomadic husbandry, the nomadic economy, it's one pillar economy. No more. Only one pillar. It's a broken, it's activate a domino, how the name, interaction. It's a war. Look, turn back to the original pretension. Every folks moving westward, because if moving westward, increase the precipitation, increase the productivity of the grassland. One reason. Second reason, improve the quality of soil. Probably you know that which is the most important fortune of granite. A soil Chernozem, you remember this meaning? The highest fertility of the soil.
Humus?
Humus, more or less. Because it's made during the Ice Age. Because it's floated a dust and floated down, and increased the very large fertile strain. It's very important because it's possible in the introductory lecture I told to you that the global average of soil, half meter. Survival of the humankind depend on the half meter. And moreover, this half meter size of that soil, majority under chemical therapy, like the people in cancer. Okay, but other story. One reason, precipitation, other reason, improving westward the quality of soil. It's other indicator of the grass productivity. And the third one, the stability of weather, stability of the climate, much better westward. Therefore, the normal behavior on the steppe corridor moving west, everybody. Not by chance, Hungarian, probably the Hungarian student know, Hungarian people, Hungarian folks, Hungarian tribes were nomadic people when arrived to the Carpathian Basin. So, the first step of the age of migration, step took by Hans or Xiongnu, when crossed the Volga River and pushed the Teutonic German tribes westward into the direction of Roman Empire. And this is first potential. And Attila, on the Battle of Catalonia in the core area, central area of France, won one battle against the main Roman army. Okay, Battle of Catalonia. This is the trajectory of Teutonic folks on the age of migration. I call your attention to the Vandals, a German tribe. And very interesting, at the beginning of 21st century, reconstructed the DNA of humans, you know, I suppose. And very interesting, it's Vandals founded a kingdom in the northern part of the Africa and reconstructed the DNA background of northern African people. Because time by time, born one baby with blue eyes and blonde hair. And the father and mother, very surprising. But there is a story, for example, for the French student I tell, that after the First World War, French troops occupied this area of Hungary, after the First World War. And a lot of soldiers came from Africa. Because this was a part of French kingdom, French Republic. And in the 70s, one baby was born in the hospital who was black. His mother and father not. And in the neighborhood, no black friends or relatives. And the solution was, because the grandmother lived, that was a light liaison with one French surgeon. And in the second generation came up the consequence of this relation with the grandmother and the black surgeon. Okay, turn back to the story. In the population of northern Africa, 1% German. Unbelievable. Because this is a fingerprint of Vandals who lived in northern Africa on the time of Age of Migration. Somebody made his heritage map? Somebody? Nobody. It's very dangerous sometimes. Okay. So, next one. Next potential or possible birthday of European civilization, division of empire. The last great emperor of the Roman Empire, Theodosius, applies the same technology like, for example, a great enterprises. It's some situation grow too large, one enterprise. The first automatical decision, making and dividing smaller one. Because too large organization of bureaucracy, it's not possible to direct and manipulate and organize efficiently, and apply the same technology by Theodosius, divided two parts, Eastern and Western Roman Empire. And very important to mention, Eastern Roman Empire survived with 1,000 years Western Roman Empire. It was a successful decision. So, next one, Sacco di Roma. 4010, German tribe of Visigoths, it's after a short siege, occupied Rome. It's a simple offer. Some lot of times happen on the time of Age of Migration. But why shock the contemporaries? Because the last siege and last successful siege against Rome happened 800 years before. Therefore, probably you know the movie of Gladiator. No armed people allowed going into the city on the time. Nobody. Therefore, the contemporaries, Roman citizen, imagined we are unhurtable. It's not true. First time verified by Visigoths. And later, somebody know who was the second German tribe who sacked and occupied Rome. Visigoths was the first. Vandals. You know the term of vandalism came from the great cruelty of Vandal warriors. Okay. The next one, deposition of Romulus Augustulus. He was the last emperor, and he escaped to Ravenna, and a local military leader, Odoacer, took under siege Ravenna and asked the gadgets of ruling, gadgets of emperor, and walked into the port of Ravenna. On the time was much closer Ravenna to the port, because in Mediterranean Sea recently it's closing down. You know the story of Mediterranean Sea? No? In geological time, Mediterranean Sea will close down, and not in the recent cycle of election, but it's more, a lot of million years will happen. It will close, and on the side, on the place of Mediterranean Sea will make like high mountain area, mountain chain than the Himalaya. Because before the forming of Himalaya, between India and Eurasia was a great inner sea area. It's closed. You know the wandering of continent story. It's not help a lot for the understanding evolution of world economy, but it's enlarging of knowledges help a lot. So Ravenna, we turn back to the Ravenna. Odoacer, half German, half Roman general, asked the gadget of ruling, Quran and the sword and any other gadgets, walked to the port of Ravenna, asked one vessel, one ship, who would like to sail to Constantinople, and this gadget take to the captain, to take to the hand of captain, and with the message, we never would like to elect a new emperor. Closed. Closed. According to legal system, he was the last legally elected king, emperor. Sorry. And very interesting, there is a Muslim student. Up here, the Muslim student? No Muslim student here. But enrolled Muslim student. Ah, good. Because sometimes I cite it to Muslim tradition. It's very important because we came from the same origin. Good. Which country?
Iran.
Iran, okay. Last potential birthday of European civilization, it's very interesting, very strange, Hijra. This is the starting date, starting year of Muslim calendar. Why? Because Hijra and the consequences of the Hijra and the evolution of the formation of the Islam made an Islamic empire, which occupied southern, western, and eastern part of Mediterranean Sea. Therefore, pushed northward a European civilization. In the integrated new area, Scandinavia, for example, plain area, German and Polish-Russian plain area integrated the British Isle, a new area integrated to the forming Europe, because Mediterranean Sea, which was on the Greek and the Roman period, the cradle of civilization, became a boundary between two civilizations. Therefore, maybe one starting date of new Europe, a new European civilization, even a Hijra, the starting date of Muslim calendar. Good. If we try to analyze and understand to evolution of European-based world economy, very useful apply some frame theory, which usable in different situations, for understanding in different situations. One of the most flexible theory which we can use solving this problem, theory of challenge and answer, introduced by Arnold Toynbee. He was a cultural historian. He wrote the history of humankind from the origin, from the Sumerian and Egyptian and other civilizations until the 20th century. Therefore, for him, very important to construct theory which usable in the antiquity, medieval Europe, medieval China, and the modern time. It's very simple, but very flexible and usable. The basic problem, basic concept, which try to find the answer, a challenge situation. A challenge situation may be, for example, what happened in the movie of Gladiator. For example, barbaric tribes would like to occupy some district of empire. What happened? It's maybe a challenge. Or for you, for understanding student level, maybe a challenge taking exam at the end of this course. This is a challenge. Therefore, in the challenge situation, invasion one side, invasion of barbaric tribes, or exam, written exam, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's a challenge. Which kind of behavior might or may activate this challenge? First answer, solving the problem with the traditional tools. In the case of Gladiator, you know the place of battle? No? Recently, on the place of battle, this is the introductory scene. This is the place. Somebody remember? But Vindobona. Somebody know which is the name recently Vindobona? Vienna, capital of Austria. A little bit different landscape than recently. Okay, it's a Battle of Vindobona, which is the traditional solution for the invasion of barbaric tribes. Activate the legions, moved, and won the battle. This is the traditional tools. But look at, for example, the point of view of exam, which is the traditional tools in the case of exam. Learning, participation, interaction, and looking the video records. This is the traditional. This is the traditional. But sometimes it's not work. In this situation, activate the second version. Second, innovation. Innovation. For example, might be an innovation when formed the Roman Empire. It was an empire of peasants. If you remember the gladiator, which is the idea of Maximus, walking on arable land, taking the hand of pikes of wheat and looking the sun, like a peasant. This was a peasant society. And until the end, official ideal, the best man is the peasant, is a peasant. But there is a small problem with the peasant lifestyle. At least 2 times, on the time of plowing and sowing and the harvest, necessary go home. No any other, the wheat growing alone. Solve the intellectual problem of growing. But at least 2 times. But the peasant who made the majority of army of Roman Republic and later Empire, the military campaign is very long. 2 options. Going back before the victory, or lost the harvest, lost the fortune, and fail as peasant. Therefore, solve this problem at the turn of second and first century before Christ. Introduced a professional army, professional soldier, mercenaries. And the peasant left at home, and 25 peasants' taxes served 1 legionary. This was a solution. Innovation. Innovated by professional army. Or other innovation during the age of migration that tried to integrate a Teutonic tribe to the empire. Invited. This was an immigration to army. Not by chance. On the last centuries of Roman Empire, majority of soldiers in Roman army were immigrants. Like, for example, in French history, Légion étrangère. The majority, because to be a soldier, not so easy. It's very dangerous. It's maybe die day by day. The local people didn't want to die day by day. Therefore, majority of army were immigrants from barbarians. It's innovation. Temporary, it's work. Or look at, for example, a case of example. The first option, the first traditional option, learning. But sometimes it didn't happen, and there is a solution. Smartphone, small sticks, or communication by earphone. lot of very talented solutions there are for that. It's dangerous a little. And third answer, collapse. What happened with Western Roman Empire, or it's possible on your life might happen in exam situation, it's failure. And you can repeat. It's not a little problem. Good. Look at this problem. In the case of forming European civilization. You remember the story, appearance of Muslim civilization pushed northward European civilization. And a Mediterranean Sea lost the intellectual and cultural grandeur function. It became a boundary between 2 civilizations. Therefore, Europeans necessarily made a new economy. Because Mediterranean Sea quite unified. This was one of the reasons of success of Roman Empire. The same type of soil, same climate, around the Mediterranean Sea, same vegetation, same plants. There is, for example, a fingerprints of Roman Empire, even Hungary, because in western part of Carpathian Sea. You tell your name to the neighborhood?
Yes.
Okay, you memorize her name. Okay, if we are looking, for example, Europe, Hungary, a western part was a part of Roman Empire, and if Roman Empire appeared, one area introduced at least 3 plants: wheat, olive, and grape. This is the fingerprints everywhere, even in British Isle, introduced olives not, because olive is too harsh, the climate of England or British Isle, main British Isle, but the wheat and the grape introduced. Until the Middle Ages, there is a vineyards everywhere. In England, there is an English student in the audience? No. But if you will travel, last year I visited my older daughter, recently working in London, and one enterprise is a core area is in London, and organized a travel to me, and up here a lot of new vineyards in consequence of global warming, even in England. It's I remember once, for example, one place, one pub offered to us, this is the best rival of the French wine production. I don't know which kind, Sauvignon Blanc, I remember was. Because white wine much productive in northern part. Okay, but turn back to the story. Moved northward, a European civilization, basically different landscape. If we are looking around, if we try to imagine early medieval Europe, huge forest area. And in this huge forest area, it's based to brown forest soil. Basically different climate, different vegetation, and different soil. And for example, converting a forest area to arable land, plowing arable land, not so easy. Why? Because it was a harsh. This is the harshest one in traditional Europe. If somebody converted one plot of forest to arable land, tax-free for 50 years, not 15, 50 years. Why? Because necessary digging from the soil, even the roots of tree, interwoven, for example, bushes, roots and roots of the trees. It's very hard work. Moved northward, huge forest area. Therefore, the agrarian technology which apply in Mediterranean basin didn't use it. Why? The key innovation of Mediterranean agriculture was the scratching plow. The draw power, 2 slave or 1 cattle, no more. Scratch the surface. Why? Because the soil is very light, very easy plowing. But before mentioned, ground forest, so it's very compact, interwoven, a lot of roots, very difficult to plow it. And Georges Duby, a French historian, described first times in the middle of 20th century a medieval agrarian revolution. A medieval agrarian revolution activated a European economy during the high Middle Ages, because, very important to mention, 90% of population, contemporary population, peasant. Therefore, this was the job, this was the task, this was the mission of the high medieval European peasants. The most important innovation was the heavy plow. Not a light scratching, it's a heavy plow. The second one, a rotation system. 2 or 3 course rotation system, and new form of harnessing of horses. Okay, look at the basic problem. The basic problem was the terra rossa. A terra rossa, this is the typical soil, light soil of Mediterranean basin. And the brown forest soil, as I mentioned before, it's a compact, very hard, very difficult to plowing forest soil. The great innovation which transform and convert to arable land, the large forest area, a heavy plow. One historical draw and contemporary version. Good. Look at the function, short video about the using of one light version of heavy plow.
With 90% of the population on the land, any development in agricultural technology would affect everybody. And in the 7th century, the agricultural inventions came one after the other to fundamentally change people's lives. The first was a new kind of plough. You see, up till then, the plough in general use had been little more than a digging stick pulled by oxen. It came from the Mediterranean, where it's still in use today in the Middle East, and it was good enough for the job of turning over the light soil in that area. But up here in Northern Europe, it got me nowhere. Soil is too thick. So, when around 700 AD, this came along, it made a very big impression. It had wheels, it had a knife to cut through the sod, and the ploughshare had a curved board attached to it. This new plough would cut through everything. Look.
The clothes of Professor are a little bit different than the contemporary peasant.
Cuts open the sod and makes it easier for the ploughshare that follows. And then the curved board throws the soil up and away to one side, leaving a clean furrow. With a team of, say, 8 oxen in front of this, you could farm the thick, rich land up here that no earlier plough could ever have done. It was bloody hard work, but it could be done. So by about 900 AD, this plough was opening up the north really fast, clearing the forests, producing more food, and in consequence, the population was rising. Now, in those days, this would have had a team of oxen up front, not a horse. The plough and the oxen were very expensive. Few peasant farmers could afford the whole deal. So they formed cooperatives, each man bringing what he could. And as they began to work close together, they began to live close together in big groups, villages. That's why villages happened.
Okay, I asked you, or I mentioned before, that what mean to be European? What mean to be European?
Hey, my English not so good.
Do you mean my English isn't very good?
Yes, I'm sorry. How often?
Okay. Right, Rose. Okay, I ask you, what mean to be European? One answer for the question, what mean to be European, since the High Middle Ages, the people who able with the collaboration and taking the compromise. Why? Because if we are looking at this situation, you remember 90% of European population peasant, and no one family, no one husbandry enough drove over, because the size of animal much shorter on the time, of course, because very different feeding and breeding and anything is different, much smaller. For one heavy plow, necessary 8 oxen, you remember. And general number of domesticated animal on one under property, one family, 1 or 2. Therefore, one drove over one heavy plow, necessary collaborate at least 4 or 7 family. No other way, because without 8 oxen, no chance for moving a heavy plow. Therefore, since the High Middle Ages, since the 9th century, year by year, day by day, it's socialized Europeans taking compromise. everybody taking the contract, for everybody acceptable. It's unbelievable, unbelievable, because the majority of European, it means peasant, not the nobleman, not the citizen, not the bourgeoisie, the peasant, socialized to making compromise. It's very important. It's a deep tradition, 1,000 long tradition. Okay, one, to be European, open for compromise and collaboration. Good. Other question, which folks made the innovation of heavy plow? There are two candidates. One candidate, the Slavic people. The Slavic people, Slavic name, according to my last survey about this topic, derived from the slow marshland area, because the Slavic homeland located between the Baltic Sea and the Carpathian Mountain, on this area. And in the 5th century, started a Slavic great migration. Eastern Slavic people moved northward, Russians and any others, and the Western Polish and the Czech and Moravians westward, and Southern Slavic people, Serbian, Croatian, Bosnian, Bulgarian, moved northward on the 5th century. Moreover, first generation of Teutonic tribes, German tribes, would like to follow the lifestyle of Romans. We are a great poor, we don't like to work, because it's very interesting, some period of full citizenship, it's controlling the largest frame of citizens' law, necessary, for example, precondition to be working, even no recently. If somebody no job, it's except in the aristocracy. For normal life, it's if somebody no job, this is the one way to the direction of poverty. But very interesting. Some period, for example, the Greek society are full social citizenships precondition, not necessary to work. Therefore, the position of the work changed according to historical period. For example, in the Greek or Roman period, to working it's a shame. But in the modern time, work, this is the way of self-perfection. Okay, other way, and if somebody, there is a good job, it's very proud. Third one, in this period, Teutonic tribes, for example, Longobards, for example, Franks and any others, form local kingdoms and principalities, and would like to follow the lifestyle of Roman aristocracy. But for the Roman aristocracy lifestyle, necessary slaves. These German tribes, Christian were. Therefore, the Christian never should take to slave. But in the eastern periphery lived Slavic people. It's not Christian. Therefore, organized a military campaign for hunting slave and distributed a lot of Slavic slave around the continent. And very close in the grammatical roots, grammatical seed, grammatical origin of the slave from Slavic. But look at, for example, in the French, slave, esclave, came from the Slavic. Therefore, in this area, in the forest and marshland area, Slavic people developed the heavy plow. And in consequence of migration, and in consequence of trade of slaves, distributed whole of Europe. The knowledge of, but local innovation appeared not only in the Slavic area, but it's a Slavic slave trade and the Slavic migration played a crucial role in the distribution of heavy plough. Okay. Other one, a Khazar Empire. A Khazar Empire. Somebody know which was the official religion of Slavic Empire? Monotheism. But which kind of monotheism? Judaism. Very surprising. Why? Because it's a Turkish empire, the kingdom of, between the kingdom of empire, because occupied between the Caspian Sea and the Black Sea, and a Hungarian tribes, I tell for not only the Hungarian student but any other, a Hungarian tribes lived for longer and shorter time, there is a discussion about it, in the frame of Khazar Empire, who were Jewish, officially. Judaism, follow the Judaism. Why? Because a Khazar Empire organized a great empire, and besides a centralized monarchy, very useful, a monotheism. Free offer were Christendom. One problem with the Christendom that the Byzantine Empire, on the core Constantinople, capital Constantinople, very strong all the time. And a leader of Khazar Empire afraid from the influence and protection, over-protection of Constantinople and the Byzantine Empire. Other one, a Muslim orientation. But the problem that this was the great change of Muslim history from Damascus, from Umayyad dynasty to Baghdad. To Baghdad, it was a great period. It was unbelievable because on that time, flow into the Muslim tradition, almost whole of the great philosophical tradition. And majority of works of Aristotle translated to Arabic, and in Iberian Peninsula, in the monastery, it's a bilingual monastery translated back to Latin. Therefore, without Muslim translator, no chance for knowing philosophical tradition of Aristotle. But on that time, in consequence of activity of Abbas, you know the story of Abbas? It's very, very cruel. His name was, a nickname is bloody. Okay. On the core area of Baghdad, it's named Baghdad Caliphate. It's very strong, one of the stronger period of Muslim power. Therefore, from the offer, left only one monotheism, a Judaism. It's very weak, left the homeland around Jerusalem, and offered the best one. Therefore, converted a Khazar elite and the large part of Khazar middle class to Judaism. And in the frame of Khazar Empire lived nomadic people, lived settled people, used the plant farming and so, and the Hungarian who lived in the Khazar Empire borrowed the crucial terms from people, Turkish people, who lived in the Khazar Empire. For example, a garden. For Hungarian students, I tell Hungarian. Kert came from one Turkish name, Alans, lived in Khazar Empire. Very interesting. If we are looking the name of Hungarian king of the Arpad dynasty, very exceptional, came from the Old Testament. Solomon, Samuel, and one priest, David. No other country in Christian Europe used name from Old Testament in the Middle Ages, except Hungarian, because there is a close relation with the Khazar, and borrowed and transported the Old Testament, tradition of the Old Testament. Why interesting? Because in this area, on the dry steppe area, introduced and innovated the heavy plow. And when the Khazar Empire collapsed, of course, the escaped everywhere. A different Turkish name lived in the frame of the Khazar Empire. And large part of these emigrants, escaped people, moved into the direction of Europe. Therefore, there is a hypothesis that large part of European Jews minority Turkish. It's an old question, what to be a Jewish religion or origin? If it's true, because analyzed, there are two groups of Jewish minorities live in the diaspora, in the small communities. Ashkenazi, it's lived in Christian environment, and Sephard or Safar lived in Muslim environment. 80%, whole majority, Jewish population live in Christian environment. It's named Ashkenazi. And very interesting, after the reconstruction and introduction of technology of DNA analysis, testing some Jewish community. And quite high, the proportion of the Turkish DNA. It's true or not, if we accept it's true, therefore solve the problem. To be Jewish, it's a religion. Okay, not a genetic background. Turn back, but we concentrate to the heavy plow. Khazar Empire, other one. Okay, two-field system. The basic problem with the wheat, somebody had some agrarian. Okay, first question. Who has a plowing experience? Plowing. Which kind of plowing? It's a with animal or no?
Plowed by, I plowed myself.
By engine, some kind of engine.
Not engine, but the old. Yes.
Plowing with devices?
Not
No.
devices. With a simple human force.
Human? It's very harsh. Transform to Hungarian. Milyen szántási tapasztalatod van?
Kapáltam.
Az nem szántás. It's hoeing. Sorry, we misunderstood because there is a other one. It's not a plowing, a hoeing. A hoeing. A hoeing, it's everybody know which is the hoeing? It's using, for example, in corn or maize cleaning of line. It's a hoeing. And for example, in my life, the mass hoeing played a crucial role, because during summertime we walked to the Rebel and hoeing day by day, and I decided I would like to work such area. No hoeing. It's because very boring. There is one pieces of mass, 20 centimeter, one to other, and there is a 200 meters long line.
You mean tillage?
No. On that time, no. But there is a tillage technology, but it's on the line between the place between the line able to clean with the tillage, but between the pieces of mass necessary, it's a hoeing. But very interesting. In the modern agriculture, introduced the pesticiders. But it's very dangerous because increase the chemical content of the fruits and vegetables and any others. But very interesting, I am listening to a podcast, agrarian podcast. It's very good because no political topic. I hate recently even the political topic. And one expert spoke about the possibility, a new way, agriculture, total cancelling chemical weapons, and introduce the robots hoeing. hoeing. Because there is, for example, recently with the camera able to identify very exactly which is the cultural plants and which is the weeds and hoeing. Therefore, cancelling, there is the one direction of development of field agrarian works to the direction of artificial intelligence able to hoeing.
Hoeing, I'm sorry.
Hoeing.
I know,
Hoeing.
Yeah, I know what the
Yeah, okay.
but I don't get it. You're talking about tillage.
Tillage?
Turning the land
Sorry.
to be able to.
I know hoeing. It's a tillage.
The
Okay,
tillage
okay,
is
okay.
turning the land to,
Yeah,
be
yeah,
able to
yeah.
keep the soft, the soil mellow, soft.
Yeah. It's very good because I am able to enlarge my vocabulary with help of you.
Yeah, and the camera you're talking about is
Yeah.
LiDAR.
With help of camera. With help of camera.
LiDAR.
Yeah.
Systems.
Okay. It's possible, not true, but there is the direction of innovation. So, a two-field and three-field system basically necessary to apply because the weed exhausts the soil. Two following years not possible sowing on the same arable land are wheat because exhaust fertility of area. This is the two and three field system. We can imagine one plot. In the two field system, half of the arable land is fallow or grazing land for animals. Because the winter crop and other year change. And the free field system a little bit more complicated because introduce a summer crop beside the winter crop. Good. And new form of horse harnessing. This picture there is from the Oktoberfest, which is the Oktoberfest, Bierfest in Munich. And you can see this is the neck harnessing. But in the case of horse, somebody had a personal experience with horses experiences. Okay, sometimes I suggest you try because there are two animal which are halfway between animal and the human. Halfway. Horse and dog. Why? Because a horse and dog able collaborate with the humans. One part of job of human, other one is the horse or dog. You could, for example, duck hunting. On the side of lake, there is a hunter and the dog. The hunter it shut down the duck. It fall down to the lake, and the dog it's swimming and bringing and pulling a dog to the shoulder of hunter. Divided two parts of task, and every participant perform his task or her task. Horse and dog able collaborate with the human. No any other. Therefore, not by chance, if somebody has a mental, physical, and other problems, animal who may help a lot, a horse and the dogs. Okay, but introduced on the time of medieval agrarian revolution, new form of breast harnessing. Which increase the draw power of animal. Why? Because a neck harnessing, it slide back and choking the horses. But very interesting, in the case of cattle or any form of the oxen, even though use the neck harnessing because it's not efficient, not increase the efficiency because on the case of cattle and the water, this is not cattle, it's a water buffalo in India, there is a bone, a neck bone. Therefore, neck harnessing never slide back. It's very boring technical information, but call your attention in the peasant husbandry, never use innovation, which is expensive. The peasant husbandry and the peasants generally very conservative and try to minimize the expenses. On the case of breast harnessing, no other way. But any other animal used, even though I, for example, visited in Romania, in Moldova, in the outer Carpathian area, even though I saw 15 years ago, it's plowing with neck harnessing. It's very simple and very cheap construction. Okay, look at these are the civilization maintainer grains. Wheat, rice, and maize or corn. And maybe discuss about the potato, but potato it's we can't take into this line, into this list because it's complementary, generally a complementary plants. But it's quite a large thematical unit, therefore interrupt the lecture here, and we will continue with this slide in the next week. Anyway, the basic concept, basic criteria of our comparison, labor, productivity, and effect onto the soil. Thanks a lot for your attention, and ask your patience for some minutes. Sorry for my spelling.